when you look at them going forward, James Harden is still a very good player, but he is not the guy that he was built to be. And so that leads to the question, is he going to be paid like the guy he was built to be, or is he going to be paid something less?
Let me ask you this. I mean, right now it feels doom and gloom and Sixers dumb. But if Embiid had played in those 2 games, and we'll see if he plays this weekend, but if Embiid had played in those 2 games, Bontemps, 1-1 probably. I mean, is it 1-1?
I mean, I think you could argue that Philly could be up 2-0 in the series. I mean, Miami has not really impressed me very much. I mean, they hit a bunch of threes in game 2, but they couldn't hit a shot in game 1. Jimmy Butler got shut down by Tobias Harris in game 1. And, as we've talked about a lot with the Heat this year, your boy Tyler Hero is really the guy that they have to go to generate offense in the half court. And, Bam has been destroying them inside because they're going up against, Paul Reed and DeAndre Jordan and Paul Millsap for a few minutes in game 1. And then George Niang on a bad knee in game 2. I mean, he fouled out in 10 minutes. And they tried to play him small.
That was crazy.
Like
that was crazy. I didn't realize that. You said that in passing to me. He's like, well, George Niang fouled out in 10 minutes. I thought you were kind of like embellishing. No, he actually did foul out.
He fouled out in 10 minutes. Yeah. Because they're trying, because that's the thing. Like, people were criticizing.
Who was reffing? Was it Tony Brothers? Because man, he wore his whistle out game 2 of Mavs Suns.
He was busy at Mavs Suns later that night. But look, that's the thing. Like, there have been all sorts of criticisms here. Doc Rivers, you should be doing this. You should be doing that. Look, if you want to try to play small with this team, you got George on a bad knee. You got Matisse Thybulle, who's decided he doesn't want to shoot the ball anymore. He's been a mess ever since he wasn't able to go to Canada to play. Danny Green is 2 for 14 from 3 in the series. Doc dusted off Furkan Korkmaz yesterday. He played pretty well, but like, there's just not a lot of options here. You take one of the 5 best players in the world.
But my point is
stuck
real quick, because we mentioned the officials. Did you guys see the video that the officials put out about Jack Harlow,
Scott Foster thing? I
mean, if you're very online, you probably know about this. If not, I encourage you to. Do you know what he's talking about, man?
Yeah.
I didn't even watch the video. I just saw it somewhere.
Yeah. Well, anyway, during the game 1 of the Celtics Bucks the other night, they had Scott Foster wired for sound, and Jack Harlow was sitting courtside. They showed him on the video board during a timeout, and Foster and Ed Malloy were talking about how they didn't know who he was, and that generated significant reaction. And so Scott Foster made a hastily produced yet still very funny video. Go to try to find the NBA refs account if you haven't seen it.
As James Harden's old pal Chris Paul once said, Scott Foster, he the man. That's who they pay to see. Can I be honest about something here? If not for the lemon pepper Lou Will saga during the bubble time, I might not know who Jack Harlow is either.
Well, it was just funny. Anyway, my point on the whole thing about Philly is that if Embiid was playing, and if Tyrese Maxey was their young developing star, and Tobias Harris was playing high level basketball, and James Harden was your number 2.5 option, some nights 2, some nights 3, some nights maybe every once in 10 games, he gets up 19 shots and he scores 28 points. I mean, that would be a good team. It wouldn't be the team that they envisioned. It wouldn't be the team that that they would hope for, but it would still be a good team. And if depending on how high Maxey's ceiling is, who knows? I mean, I think, if this is, you mentioned JJ Redick, I was going on the shots kick. Well, he can't get shots this week. And I was on a show with JJ, and JJ goes, maybe you don't want him to take that many shots. Maybe if his efficiency isn't there, maybe 15 shots is fine. Maybe you don't want him to get it. And I thought that's a level-headed way of looking at it. Maybe this is just a new normal, and James Harden will have this active his career and still be a productive player. But
like I said, it's not that he stinks. That's the thing. It's like it's a more complicated thing than that. If he's not really like Russell Westbrook, who's just absolutely demolishing his team all year. I mean, you're talking about a guy who still is an elite playmaker and can do a lot of stuff to help you win games. It's just that, again, he was brought in here and trumpeted as a guy who is a top 10 MVP caliber championship level player when really he's more of a borderline all-star 25th to 30th best player in the league. That's a good complementary piece. And that's just not what he was billed as. And that's why, again, you look at these 2 games in Miami, the Heat were okay. They weren't great. Certainly, I think they're going to get drilled if they play like this in the next round against whoever they play. And, these were games that Philly had on their plate that they could potentially steal one, even without Joel. And while a lot of it was they went 14 for 64 from 3, it also was the fact that the guy who is their best player is just not good enough to win that kind of game anymore.
And, we've talked on the pod about how he did not pick up his option as was all assumed he was going to be, which means he could be a free agent at the end of the season. He also could pick up his option and extend off of that. He could pick up his option, get traded and extend. He could pick up his option, extend with Philadelphia, but he picks up that option for $47 million. If he was an unrestricted free agent, would he get $47 million?
No,
from anybody.
Nobody has $47 million. I mean, the Sixers could pay him that.
Well,
nobody else.
I mean, there could be signs and trades. I mean, but I'm just saying, like,
he's not a $47 million player.
Right.
No.
Well, look, maybe Philly comes to him and says, James, do not pick up that option for $47 million and let's negotiate a 4-year contract. But like now Philly may actually be like, actually, we're kind of happy he didn't pick up that option because we can now negotiate with him.
And you know what's crazy? Who's playing like a $47 million player is Chris Paul. And Chris Paul last year could have made $44 million. He opted out and then re-signed a deal, taking a significant pay cut, which honestly, I Chris Paul's a hell of a businessman. I still don't understand why exactly he did that.
Well, he did it in theory so that the Suns can keep this team together and pay DeAndre Ayton and pay Cam Johnson and maybe even spend some mid-level money in the offseason.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.